Okay, we can start with second session. I'm so sorry because we late. We had a technical problem with internet in Belgrade and Sarajevo, and now we invited Professor Milivoj Dopsaj. Now it's okay.
Može da delim ekran?
Okay, no. It's okay now. Okay. After this presentation, Professor Milivoj Dopsaj, we had only video presentation, but via stream. You had to go to YouTube channel and to listen presentation of Professor Predrag Rašović, surgical treatment of foot and ankle injuries, our experience. And after that, we discuss about this presentation, and if you have some questions, we can discuss. Professor Dopsaj is a full professor from Faculty of Sport and Physical Education University in Belgrade, and he will give an invited lecture. Please, Professor Dopsaj.
I will start to share my screen. Does anybody see my screen now?
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
You can start.
Okay. It doesn't matter do I speak English or not, or in Serbian. Maybe I will speak in both language. First of all, because our guest Guillermo, even he's unknown for me, or vice versa. But some things I will explain in English, some on Serbian. But anyway, full presentation is made on English. Basically, analysis of participation of primary school children in sports system in Serbia. This is the topics I will try to talk you about today. Basically, what is the problem? The sport is very important part of society with very clear aim what sport does mean, considering educational part and influence, considering social or pedagogical part of interest for society, and also considering of public health, well-developed physical abilities or skills, and finally, as a system of selection for and system of creation of elite athletes in system of competitive sport. Of course, according to Wikipedia, mother of overall modern knowledge, sport mean competitive physical activity or games. Today we have some new sport which through the organized participation has some aim to improve physical ability skill and to improve competitive sport abilities, etc., etc. Most important sport competition in human society is Olympic Games, and everything considering competitive sport is inclined to the Olympic game. But in ancient time, considering or comparing to the modern time today, in ancient time, the idea of sport was ideal body and ideal results. But today, some certain type of sports, brand new, included in further Olympic Games, like esports, is something really, really different. Different from basic idea what is meaning of sport. Serbia is not so huge and big country. We are not in Europe. We are somewhere between, but basically 77,000 kilometers to 88,000 kilometers is the area of country. Approximately 7 million of inhabitants with 91 inhabitants per square kilometers. And if we take a look in period from 1996 to 2016, and if we take a look who are the most successful country in Olympic sport, which means in sport in general, there is no Serbia, of course. USA, Russia, Germany, China, France, Great Britain, they are most successful countries. But it doesn't mean that we doesn't exist in a map of most successful countries in the world considering sport. We have a couple of very traditional sport where we are where we have excellent succeed. For example, in volleyball, and especially in female volleyball. And when we compare, for example, area of our country, of Serbia, when we compare with Russia, for example, we can see that Serbia is just like a municipality of Moscow, so big as main time in Russia. But even that, in Rio 2016, we beat in quarterfinal Russia with 3-0. In semifinal, we also beat USA. And when we compare how Serbia is big, it's like a half of Kansas country in USA, which means that sport give us opportunity to be successful and to beat even much, much bigger countries. According to the middle, generally, approximately 150 countries win medal at all from the beginning of Olympic ideas till today, till to 2016. And Serbia is on 68th place with sum of 0.1 medal per all Olympic Games at all, which means we are something in the middle, not so successful. And why? Why in so not so successful area we are trying to do anything in system of sport? Because sport is very important, I told you. Base for any kind of sport, of course, is elementary school and kids. Every year, a new generation of potential athletes start with education, and elementary school is overall and everywhere in the world base for selection in system of sport. And if we consider previously published result, is it physical activity and sport important? Yes. Physical activity plays very important role in prevention of most non-chronic disease today. This is the obesity and overweight. Is it physical activity and sport or exercise generally important for some other aspects of human being and living, yes, it's very closely related with academic achievement. We had first lecture where colleagues from Spain told us and explained how much and many is important to have regular physical activity, even extended physical activity as sport gave to us. Everybody know today that prevalence of overweight and obese kids is so huge today, where almost 7 to 15% for only 10 years prevalence of increasing obesity and overweight in youth is going up or growing. This is very popular slide. Why also we have to be physically active or to have sport? Because it's very stimulative for cognitive function, and better cognitive function have influence of better academic achievement and behavior at all. Okay. Also, we need to know the sport is very big global business today. This is side effect of sport and physical activity at all in modern society. For example, data from Canada. This is the how much costs per year parents if they have single kid in sport. $300 if you have kid who trains softball, $400 if you have kid who trains swimming, till the $1,700 per kid per year you have to pay, even in so highly economically developed country as Canada is, if you want your kid to train hockey. Okay, what is and how is this in Serbia? Of course, we are not so economically developed country. We have some organization in the system of sport. This is the data from 2015, but it's almost the same situation even today. Only 0.7 of general BDP from all republic ministry take from ministry in sport, which means less than 1% of general budget or BDP from our country is going to our country invest in system of sport. Is this enough or not? Okay, we will see. Considering the, for example, Olympic Committee and subvention from Olympic Committee to develop of elite athletes results, for example, only 2.5 million of euro is going to the Olympic Committee, and from those money, less than 1 million is going to the Volleyball Federation, 0.7 million euro is going to the Basketball Federation, 0.7 million is going to the Water Polo Federation. Why? Because we are most successful in the sport game, in volleyball, basketball, and water polo. If you consider that Serbian most successful sport federation have less than 1 million from the government, you cannot imagine how we can at all develop a system of sport in Serbia. When we compare that from, for example, this is the data from 2011 and 2012, just for 1 year, for the particular single athletes from South Africa, we can see that in that time, world record holder swimmer Cameron van der Burg, he had 1 million for single season for preparation. Only he was responsible to spend this money. For example, second swimmer, Chadwick Loss, world record gold medal and Olympic medal winner, he had 557,000, 100,000, $500,000 of dollars for single season for preparation. And we can see some kind of disparity between how other countries invest in individual athlete program development, considering how we invest officially in the full federation. Okay. What is idea of this work? Or the idea of this work to just define the current quantitative characteristics with the idea to assess how many kids from primary schools are in judgment in sport system in Serbia. And it was systematic, non-experimental survey. 7,787 subjects was included in this research from the Serbia, from different regions of Serbia. And that was the kids from 1st to 8th grade of elementary school in Serbia. Just descriptive and regression statistics was made. Basically, we had approximately 650 kids sampled from the East Vojvodina, from the southern part of Serbia, 750 kids from Belgrade, 1,300 kids from the central Serbia, and approximately 5,000 kids from the southern part of Serbia. Basically, almost 2.15% of overall from overall elementary school population in Serbia. Okay. Ako nije problem da se isključi mikrofon i čujemo vas svi. And what results are? The blue stocks is the boys, the pink one is the girls. This is the sport prevalence, considering all classes in elementary school in Serbia. And generally, 45.3% of all kids included in sample is not included in any sport in Serbia, which means 52.4% of girls are not included in sport. 47.6% is included in some sport somehow. And 38.3% boys is not included at all in system of sport in Serbia, which means 61.7% is included in sport. Basically, The bigger problem is with girls because statistically significantly less girl in primary school system is not included in system of sport in Serbia. From all sports, according to the legislative, according to the law, our law recognizes 117 different sports is recognized in system of sports in Serbia. Only full sample is included only in 41 sport. All kids included is only 41 different sport, which means only 35.0% of all recognized sport, as a legal sport, tested or assessed kids are in, which means we don't use everything what we have, and only half of kids are included in system of sport in elementary school period. Is it good or not? I don't know. But when we divide this data in male, considering the gender, we can see, considering the boys, 26.6% of all kids included in sport in Serbia are in football. Of course, football is most popular sport, not only in Serbia and all over the world. Second is the basketball with 8.7. Third is swimming with 5.4. Handball, karate, etc., etc., etc. There is so many sports with prevalence less than 1%. Aikido, table tennis, gymnastics, track and field. And just imagine that gymnastics, track and field, and swim, according to the Serbian law, is basic sport. Sport who give advantage for all other sports, and sport who must be developed in every part of the country, considering the law. This is the first of all sports. But gymnastics, only 0.7% of kids are involved in. And boys are active in only 35 different sports, which means less than 30% of all sports boys are active in. Over the 70% of, according to the legislative recognized sport, we don't have kids included in. Absolutely incredible. And there is 6 sports there is no boys in, comparing to the girls: ballet, hip hop, rhythmic gymnastics, synchro swimming, equestrian, and modern dance and jazz ballet. There is no boys in. What's about the girls? Okay, volleyball is the most popular sport at the girl, with 15% of prevalence. After that is swimming, 5.7%. After that is folklore, gymnastics, handball, football, even football, etc., etc., etc. Only 32 different sport girls prefer, which means less than 30%, 27.4% of all sports the girls are included in. And 9 sports from overall sport the school kids are involved, girls doesn't like. This is the chess, fishing, cycling, boxing, free climbing, alpinism, street workout, kayak, and rugby. When we divide all data, considering to the gender and considering to the different sport area, we can see that 42.9% of all sports for boys is the sport games, which means boys prefer to be active in sport games in the group of other boys. But girls doesn't like that so much. Only 25% of all girls are included in sport games. When we talk about basic sport, which means swimming, gymnastics, sport gymnastics, and track and field, 6.9 and 10.2 kids are involved in, which means girls much more like individual sport. She is not dependable considering the group, as boys are when are young or when I in primary school. Martial arts, of course, boys like much more, almost double martial arts than girls. Other individual sport like cycling, like triathlon, like marathon running, like that. This is it, like rowing and dance and folklore, where there is no boys. We don't have even tradition of dance. Nobody likes to be boy and go to the folklore, but girls like that. And we can conclude that sport in system of Serbia is gender dependent. There is much more popular sport for boys, as we have much more popular sport for the girls. And also, sport in Serbia is local community dependent. What does it mean? If you like to go in some sport, but if you doesn't have conditions, because you don't have facility in local community, you can train that sport. You can train only kind of sport local community have possibilities to organize that. If you have training object for that sport, you need to go and train that kind of sport. This means local community dependent. This is the reason why from 117 sports in Serbia, only 30% is active, which means have the youths and youngs. 70% of sport in Serbia probably doesn't have developed objects for training, and they almost doesn't exist in youth period. And what is the influence of school? If we made regressional line, just simple linear regressional line, to calculate is there a chance or trend of chance for a prevalence in first degree, second degree, third, till to 8th degree, we can see the following. Coefficient of determination is 0.003. For the girls, nothing's changed considering the prevalence of involvement in sports system from the first grade till the 8th grade. From the 6-7 years old till the 13-14 years old, nothing is changed for the girls. Also, nothing is changed for the boys, because 0.01, this is the 0.01% of statistical probability, which means how many kids are involved in system of sport in first grade? The same numbers, the same prevalence is in the 8th grade. Our scholar system have no positive, but also have no negative influence. Even that have no negative influence, but there is no positive influence. Just Dead Sea, nothing. Which means the sport in school system in Republic of Serbia is age independent. Nothing's happened. Unfortunately. But in some sport, I just talked about the average things, but in some sport is absolutely different. When we analyze results of involvement in sport system, for example, only for the volleyball, we can see strongly statistically significant improvement. Yes, from the 4th classes till the 8th classes, we can conclude that there is statistically significant increase of prevalence of involvement kids in volleyball sport. For the boys, 61.5, and for the girls, 66.1. And we can say, yes, we are really successful. Data we are talking about, we pick up data from 215 till 219. In the same period of time, female and male volleyball national team was very, very successful. And we can say there is some correlation between what's happening with sport and system of sport in the preschool and with final success in national team. When we also compare some other 3 sports, football, for example, swimming and basketball, we can say absolutely different effects between boys and girls. For example, for the football, this is the light gray scale. Yes, the most popular sport is the football, but even that they have decreased 0.61% of prevalence per class, but with high level of engagement of all kids in football. We also have in swimming decrease 0.2% of per single school year decreasing, which means less and less and less kids as they become older we have in swimming. And absolutely different things are for the girls, which means that sport is very specific dependent. We cannot talk about general model. Yes, we can, but it's not absolutely true. We need to analyze by classes of different sports, but generally sports is very specifically dependent as a system of a prevalence our kids in system of sports. And what we need to do in the future, Okay, this is just initial quantitative data. We need to do it again with almost double percent of subject sample. We know today that half of the elementary school children in Serbia are not involved in system of sport. We know now that girls compared to the boys are statistically significantly lower judged in the system of sport, which means prevalence of not sportish behavior in girls are statistically significantly higher than boys. And the system of school, considering the competitive sport, absolutely do not affect. We don't have nothing as positive, but also as a negative influence from full elementary school on involvement, on improvement involvement of our kids in system in sport, which means our system in sport is still stochastic. We don't control them. Okay, thank you a lot and have a nice day.
Thank you, Professor Dopsy. And now, does anyone have any questions for Professor Dopsy? No, okay. I have some comment. We heard in the first session presentation of Professor Milanovic, and he spoke about the problems, about the reason why the young football players drop out the football. You spoke about participation of primary school children in sports system in Serbia. Can you see connection, and maybe you say a few sentences more, connection between dropout and participation of primary school children in sport?
Okay, thank you for a question. I don't know even the reason why kids going to the football. Maybe this is because it's most interesting for them. Even I don't know why they still train or why they drop out.
Just a moment, Professor.
Yeah.
He spoke about the reason it's not fun anymore, do not play enough, pressure to perform, injury problem, the football is too competitive. He spoke about this problem.
Yeah, most probably this is the main reason why kids leave football, but we also can have some trend. If you see from the 30 degrees till the 8 degrees, from 37 till 20, it's almost double less kids in football, which means we can say there's some peak of participation in football. This is 37 from all other kids included in the sport. There is some reason, yes, they leave the football constantly, year by year, but still there is so high level of participation of kids in. But this is for the boys. But when we see the data for the girls, this is the data for the girls. We can see absolutely opposite trend for the girls. When girls become older, they start to play football much more. It's only 3%, 4%, okay, 2.5%. But we can say that for the girls, and judgment in sport or participation growing 1.3% per classes for the girls. This is very sport specific, but it is normal that kids leave the sport because they are not. It is depend of talent. It's depend of local situation. It's depend maybe of some marketing of some parents. It's depend of material status of parents. They leave. Does we have a system to accept that kids in some other sport or in the same sport with at the different level of competition of training? It's depend of the country.
Okay, thank you for explanation. Does anyone have any question for Professor Dobsai? No.
Yes, there is one.
Guillermo, we spoke English.
Yeah, I understand.
Yes.
I have a question for the professor. When I was in my master, I did a quite similar work, and we realized that youth have some reasons to avoid the active behavior. And my question is, if you have found some reasons for doing that, for evading a sport.
Unfortunately, we just assume how many kids are involved in sport in Serbia. We simply doesn't have a time to pick up the other data, considering some satisfactions or some motivation aspects. And I simply doesn't know nothing about reason why kids are included here or does not.
Okay.
That's the problem. It was just some crocky or some very fast projects as initial project, just to pick up the data, what's happening, and maybe the next one will be extended to the other aspects of sport behavior and sport motivation.
Thank you.
Aca je podigao ruku, hoće da pita nešto, koliko sam vidio.
Hvala. I don't have questions about this topic, but it's very sad emotions now when I look at these numbers, especially about percents of the youngest in our country. We do some research about youth from 15 to 30 years. And it's incredible that we have results that only 10% of young people are learned to swim. It was impossible maybe 30 years ago. We don't have so many swimming pools, but we have in primary school programs at summer to go 1 or 2 weeks to the sea, learn to swim and go back. And the same is about athletic, the same is about skiing, especially because I live near Kopaonik. We have 3 weeks with the school to go learn to ski and came back to school. Now percent in Raška municipality is less than 7.5% kids from 7 to 15 years who know to ski. And I think that's not only about money, maybe the whole system in schools are not so good established. What do you think, Professor?
Yes, I'm also very, very disappointed with my research, with the results of my research. And as you can see, alpine skiing. I think only 3 or 5 boys fill up from Rashka that they are trained skiing, which means 0.03% from 329 kids are going and train alpine skiing. It's very similar data for the girls. From 358 girls, only 0.12% of girls are involved in alpine skiing. And I saw that, I told you that the very locally dependent is the sport. Because of Kopaonik, mountain Kopaonik, only boys and girls from Kopaonik and very near from can train skiing, for example. Boys from the Novi Sad or, I don't know, Belgrade, it's very hard to organize that. Even they are super talented because they don't know are they super talented if don't have opportunity to try that. The problem with swimming is we kick out swimming, as I know, from the curriculum of elementary school. It's too expensive. This is the only one complaints or argument for the local community. It's too expensive. I have, in those data, we had a question, do you know to swim? When did you learn and something about that? But I did not calculate those data. This is the next part, I will do that. But data for swimming are also very tragical. Only one federation, only volleyball federation has positive relation between prevalence of girls involved in volleyball with competitive success. Only one federation and half of, only for the female. It's indirect relationship. All others involvement with success absolutely doesn't relate. It's too much stochastic. When you put Olympic medal, for example, Taekwondo, Judo, Karate, or for boys, wrestling, water polo, it's not relation. There is no relation, no one, between success in sport and in judgment of kids in sport. Too much stochastic in Serbia. Which means what is happened is happened. Budget, there is no any relation between how much budget is and some systematic trend and success.
Thank you, Professor Dopsai. Does anyone have any question more for Professor? And I think it's enough. Thank you, Professor Dopsai. Thank you.
Thank you a lot. Congratulations for all and keep in touch.
Of course. Now we have a problem with connection with Sarajevo. And when Professor Rajo make a presentation, we will put a presentation on the YouTube channel. Now we have one presentation, but via video stream. Please go to YouTube stream. We send you link and you can see the presentation of Professor Rašković, University of Novi Sad. Thank you a lot. We put all your presentation or for all participants YouTube and on site of conference. See you tomorrow, and tomorrow we have closing ceremony, and I have you more expression about this conference. Have you any question for me? Okay, thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you.
Poštovani organizatori ovog divnog skupa, poštovani predsjedavajući, poštovane kolege i poštovani učesnici, na početku želim da se zahvalim organizatorima na pozivu i prilici da mi kao klinika nastavimo saradnju sa ovim divnim skupom, pošto mi već tradicionalno izlažemo na ovom skupu i nadam se da će se naša saradnja nastaviti i u budućnosti. Ja se zovem docent dr. Predrag Rašović, po zanimanju, odnosno struci samo ortopedski hirurg i traumatolog, i radim na klinici za ortopedsku hirurgiju i traumatologiju Univerzitetskog kliničkog centra Vojvodine u Novom Sadu, a i docent sam na katedri za hirurgiju Medicinskog fakulteta Univerziteta u Novom Sadu. Ja ću danas pokušati da vam približim samo jedan mali segment onoga što se mi, inače čime se mi bavimo, samo jedne male regije, u ovom slučaju stopala i skočnog zgloba, ali su to svakako uz regiju kolena i ramena najčešće regije kod kojih se povrede kod sportista i događaju. Krivac za nastanak većine sportskih povreda skočnog zgloba je skup pokreta, odnosno supinacija, adukcije i dorzi fleksije, koja se stručno zove inverzija skočnog zgloba. U ovom slučaju radi se o nekontrolisanoj, neplaniranoj, forsiranoj inverziji i ona je svakako glavni krivac za nastanak većine ovih sportskih. Najčešće od njih je distorzija skočnog zgloba i distorzija skočnog zgloba predstavlja 15% cele sportske traume uopšte. Svi urgentni centri u svetu, pa i naš, su preplavljeni svakodnevno mnoštvom pacijenata, a veliki deo njih su pacijenti, odnosno sportisti koji su zadobili prilikom bavljenja sportskih aktivnosti. Ono što je važno ovde istaći da se većina ovakvih povreda završi dobro i mi ih u struci smatramo banalnim povredama skočnog zgloba, ali 1/5 od njih ima svoje rezidue, ostaju hronični boli i nestabilnost skočnog zgloba, što pacijentima u većini slučajeva smeta, posebno onim pacijentima koji su aktivni, pa i rekreativni sportisti koji ne mogu zbog toga da daju svoj maksimum, odnosno ne mogu trenažni proces da obavljaju u ritmu koji im je potreban. Radi ovde o povredi ligamenata. Kao što vidite na ovoj ilustraciji, desno spoljašnji ligamentarni kompleks skočnog zgloba se sastoji od 3 ligamenta, prednjeg i zadnjeg talofibularnog i kalpeneofibularnog ligamenta, i u zavisnosti da li je došlo do nategnuća ovih ligamenata ili njihove rupture ili napuknuća ili pucanja, ako se u narodu kaže, distorzije skočnog zgloba se stepenuju u 3 velike grupe. Prvu grupu predstavljaju pacijenti, njih je najviše, koji su samo, da kažem, žargonski rečeno, izvrnuli skočni zglob. Oni su bez nekih značajnijih tegoba, nemaju rupturu ligamenata, dakle imaju samo nategnuće ligamenata i oni se u potpunosti uz adekvatno lečenje oporave za mesec dana. Drugu grupu predstavljaju pacijenti kod kojih je došlo do rupture, odnosno pucanja, najčešće 2 od 3, a to su prednje i talofibularni, kalpeneofibularni ligament, i ovi pacijenti imaju malo zbiljnijih tegoba, oni se žale na postojanje nestabilnosti skočnog zgloba, na umanjenje funkcije skočnog zgloba i oni se u većini slučajeva oporave, ali tek 1 do 3 meseca od traume, a veći deo nego deo kod onih iz prvog stepena se žale na rezidue, kao što sam rekao, na bol i nestabilnost skočnog zgloba. Treća grupa je svakako i na svu sreću najređa. To su pacijenti kod kojih je došlo do rupture sva 3 ligamenta. Ti pacijenti se oporavljaju 6 meseci do godinu dana i ti pacijenti su u najvećem slučaju oni koji će kasnije završiti na operativnom lečenju, jer će ih tegobe koje imaju onemogućavati u obavljanju normalnih aktivnosti. Dakle, praktično nema sportiste, praktično nema ni običnog čoveka koji bar jednom u životu nije imao ovakvu povredu. Klinička slika je svima poznata. U predelu spoljašnjeg tležnja skočnog zgloba javlja se otok, pacijenti osjećaju bol, ne mogu potpunosti da se oslone na nogu, imaju umanjenje pokreta u skočnom zglobu, navodi da im noga otiče, kasnije se kao karakteristična klinička slika pojavljuje ovaj hematom u donjem delu pete i ovakvi pacijenti svakako zahtevaju neko lečenje. Kliničke egzaminacije pacijenta mi se služimo i određenim radiografskim, odnosno rentgenološkim zakonitostima, ako bi mogli ovu povredu i da jasno se to vidi na ovim snimcima. Radimo inverzioni stres test, odnosno vršimo forsiranu inverziju skočnog zgloba, odnosno vršimo onaj pokret koji jeste doveo do traume i kao takvog ga radiografišemo. Na ovom snimku se jasno vidi da je ugao nagiba talusa, ili kako se u anglosaksonskoj nomenklaturi kaže alar tilt, veći nego što bi inače trebao, odnosno zglobne površine talusa i tibije nisu paralelne, one normalno treba da iznose 4 stepena, što nam jasno ukazuje da je na ovom stres snimku došlo do rupture lateralnog ligamentarnog kompleksa i da će ovaj pacijent u budućnosti trebati hirušku stabilizaciju. Se distorzione povrede skočnog zgloba leče. A postoji jedan ustaljeni protokol koji su Amerikanci svojim akronimima uprostili i hvala im na tome. Još krajem prošlog veka je uveden u praksu akronim AIS, što u osnovi jeste led, odnosno led se koristi u lečenju ovakvih povreda aplikovanjem na otečeno mesto i to u trajanju 20 minuta pa 2 sata pauza, gde se u stvari naziva sistem saune, hladno, odnosno vazokonstrikcije i vazodilatacije krvnih sudova. Akronim AIS podrazumeva imobilizaciju, kompresiju, elevaciju noge. On je kasnije proširen na akronim PRICE koji obuhvata i protekciju skočnog zgloba i odmor. Naravno, sve ovo radi se u kombinaciji sa primjenom nesteroidnih antiinflamatornih lekova, lokalnim topikalnim tretmanom u smislu nesteroidnih antiinflamatornih gelova, aspiracijom hematoma u ređim slučajima i naravno fizikalnim terapijama. Početkom ovog veka je u praksu uvedena ova što je mi zovemo čizma za hod, što se vidi na ovoj slici desno. Ona predstavlja revoluciju u lečenju ovakvih povreda i ne samo ovakvih, i mi smo onom koji je to izmislio veoma zahvalni, a one omogućavaju pacijentima funkcionalni način lečenja ovakvih povreda i doprinosi svakako bržem oporavku, usputnom ipak obavljanju svakodnevnih životnih aktivnosti koje pacijent da obave. Dakle, sa čizmom za hod distorzije prvog stepena se leče 3 do 6 nedelja, drugog stepena 8 do 12, a one trećeg stepena, boga mi, preko 6 meseci, i to su one koji će na kraju praviti pacijentima najveći. Ako će jedan sportista znati da se on od distorzije skočnog zgloba izlečio? Pa ukoliko može da trči bez bolova, ukoliko može da ponovi poskok na tu nogu 10 puta za redom, ukoliko može da stoji na nozi 1 minut zatvorenih očiju bez bola i ukoliko proceni da mu je snaga na toj nozi, odnosno u tom skočnom zglobu, približna zdravoj, odnosno nepovređenoj. Opet se vraćamo na inverziju. Ukoliko se inverzioni mehanizam nastavi, odnosno ukoliko je brži i nagli, može doći do nastanka druge povrede. Radi se o prelomu baze pete metatarzalne kosti i u osnovi se radi o avolzionom prelomu, odnosno prelomu otrgnuća, jer se na bazi pete metatarzalne kosti pripaja tetiva musculusa peroneusa brevisa kao i tetiva musculusa peroneusa terciusa. Mi u našim ortopedskim procedurama gradiramo u odnosu na mesto prelome pete metatarzalne kosti na naš način i one nam služe da bi mogli da se orijentišemo u daljem tretmanu. Sada nije važno, važno je da većinom ovi prelomi saniraju dobro na neoperativno lečenje i to u nošenju imobilizacije 2 do 4 nedelje, pa čak i čizme za hod. Samo određeni deo njih mogu završiti operativno. Pretežno se radi, kao što se vidi na slici kod ove mlade pacijentkinje, o nesraslom prelomu baze pete metatarzalne kosti. Ta pacijentkinja osjeća strašan bol na tom mestu i mi ćemo morati da uradimo sada osteosintezu ili kod onih pacijenata koji inicijalno zahtevaju operativno lečenje kao što je ovde slučaj. Se nakon forsirane inverzije skočnog zgloba javi forsirana everzija ili ukoliko se everzija javi izolovana kao takva, ona može dovesti do subluksacije ili luksacije peronealnih tetiva. Oni najčešće nastaju kao posledica pucanja ovog superiornog peronealnog retinakuluma koji je ništa drugo nego fibrozna opna ispod koga prolaze tetive musculusa peroneusa brevisa i musculusa peroneusa longusa, ili u slučaju da imaju anatomsku varijaciju, odnosno da je žljeb ispod spoljašnjeg maleolusa, odnosno spoljašnjeg gležnja kroz koji one prolaze plitak. Pacijenti osjećaju bol na tom mestu, čuju i osjećaju osjećaj preskakanja koji ih užasno iritira i žele taj problem da reše. On se rešava isključivo operativnim putem, odnosno ili produbljivanjem žljeba koji je suviše plitak ili šivenjem ili novim formiranjem superiornog retinakuluma i obezbeđivanje stabilnosti peronealnih kože, gdje može da se javi i uzdužni rascep musculusa peroneusa brevisa, a ovaj rascep nastaje zato što se tetiva mikro pomera i, da kažem narodskim žargonom, nasađuje se na vrh spoljašnjeg gležnja. I ovaj problem se operativno rešava jer uzrokuje hroničan bol i oticanja kod pacijenta, a radi se, kao što se vidi na ovom pacijentu kog sam skoro operisao, tubularizacija tetive uz debridman musculusa peroneusa brevisa. Ukoliko je ovaj uzdužni rascep duži i veći, ne može da se uradi tubularizacija, radi se tenodeza, odnosno presecanje ovo tetive i šivenje i u gornjem delu i u donjem delu za musculus peroneus. Inverzione povrede mogu dovesti do preloma spoljašnjeg gležnja. Na svu sreću mali deo ovih preloma zahteva operativno lečenje. Upravo operativno lečenje se radi kod mladih i sportskih aktivnih ljudi kako bi ubrzali oporavak i vraćanje sportskim aktivnostima. Kod starijih ljudi, ja pričam ukoliko nema veće dislokacije preloma, ovi prelomi se leče neoperativno imobilizacijom u trajanju 4 do 6. Puno su zahtevniji i teži bimaleolarni prelomi, odnosno prelomi i unutrašnjeg i spoljašnjeg ležnja, često sa subluksacijom ili luksacijom skočnog zgloba. Oni u većini slučajeva zahtevaju operativno lečenje. Mora se fiksirati i unutrašnja strana, najčešće zavrtnjem, i spoljna strana pločom i zavrtnjevima, a oporavak pacijenata je znatno duži. Smatra se da se u pune sportske aktivnosti mogu vratiti tek nakon godinu. Puno opsežnije traume su traume donjeg okrajka potkolenice, odnosno golenjačne kosti. Mi ih nazivamo tibijalni pilon. To su najčešće intraartikularni prelomi, odnosno prelomi koji prolaze kroz hrskavicu zgloba. Svaki prelom koji zahvata hrskavicu, odnosno koji je intraartikularan, odnosno unutar zglobni, ima lošu prognozu i ostavlja trajne posljedice svakog pacijenta. Oni se ređe sreću u sportu, ali se sreću. Mi srećemo ovakve pacijente, oni se najčešće sreću kod high energy traume, odnosno traume izazvane visokim intenzitetom. Oni predstavljaju, kao što vidite, 7 do 10% svih preloma tibije. Vrlo su često udruženi s prelomima drugih kostiju ekstremiteta, pa čak i karlice i kičme. Obično su pacijenti muškarci između 30 i 40 godina starosti. Oni podrazumevaju opsežne povrede mekog tkiva, čak 1/3 ovih preloma otvoreni prelomi. Dakle, CT dijagnostika, a pogotovo ako imamo ovakav 3D CT, je zlatni standard u dijagnostici ovakvih preloma, iako i ovo što vidimo na 3D CT-u, koji je izuzetno precizan, intraoperativno skoro uvek po pravilu ovakav prelom bude gori i još više kominutivan, odnosno ima još više ulomaka. Pravilno preoperativno planiranje i odabir adekvatne operativne tehnike predstavlja moranje. Ovakvim pacijentima se treba vrlo pažljivo pristupati, jer su vrlo u lečenju. Ako gledamo CT sken same zglobne površine, uvek ćemo naći 3 glavna fragmenta, anterolateralni, medijalni i posteriorni. Vidite koliki su gepovi između u zglobu samom. Uvek je višedelni prelom. Oni se nikada adekvatno ne mogu reponovati, mogu približno anatomski, veoma retko i anatomski, i zbog loše sposobnosti bioregeneracije hrskavice ostavljaju trajne posljedice samog pacijenta. Imamo više načina zbrinjavanja. Obično u prvom aktu se radi spoljašnja fiksacija, u drugom aktu definitivna osteosinteza, najčešće pločom i šrafovima ili klinovima. Čak i spoljašnja fiksacija može biti definitivni lečenja. Dakle, skoro 1/3 ovih pacijenata uopšte više ne može da radi po izlečenju. 40% njih promeni svoje zanimanje. Kao što sam rekao, preko 1/2 imamo kliničke i radiografske znake osteoartritisa i sve dalje tegobe vezane za njega. Čak 10% pacijenata i više završi sa artrotezom, odnosno hiruškim ukočenjem zgloba. Ali evo, ima izuzetaka. Ovo je inače moj jako dobar prijatelj Deja, koji je igrom slučaja difovac, trenutno instruktor plivanja. Prelom je zadobio na Kopaoniku, učeći ćerkicu da se skija, naravno razvezanih cipela, po njegovim navodima pad je banalan, on je sada s prekomernom težinom, ali povreda je nezgodna, transportovan je skup. Ja sam uradio spoljašnju fiksaciju, osteosintezu fibule, dodatnu, odnosno hibridnu osteosintezu u cilju da rekonstruišemo zglob. Ja sam ovog druga Deju zamolio da mi preključe na prvi snimak, on je jedan od retkih koji može da trči, vidite pokreta i ja to pripisujem samo njegovom motivu i njegovim sportskim navikom. Koliko vidite njegovu amplitudu pokreta, plantarna fleksija mu je umanjena, blago mu je umanjena dorzifleksija, ali to njega ne onemogućava u bavljenju svojim aktivnostima, on je dalje instruktor plivanja. Ove ovde što vidite tačkice, to su rane od spoljašnjeg fiksatora. Svakako treba napomenuti i prelome dijafize tibije, one se često dešavaju na skijanju kao i u kontaktnim sportovima kod pogibeljnih startova. Svi smo imali prilike da vidimo na nekim fudbalskim utakmicama ovakve. U sreću, ovakvi prelomi se danas rešavaju intramedularnom osteosintezom, odnosno klinovima, odnosno što se u narodu kaže šipkom u kosti. Kao što vidite na snimku, repozicija fragmenata je praktično anatomska i ona je ta što pacijent prvi dan ima puno slanac na nogu, ukoliko prelom nije intraartikularan, dakle brzo se vertikalizuje, ima minimalan gubitak krvi, tehnika je minimalno invazivna, radi se kroz male incizije, dakle ovdje je mesto uvođenja klina, mali ožiljak na pacijentovoj nozi, mesto transfiksacije klina proksimalno i mesto transfiksacije klina distalno. Da ste nekom pre 100 godina pričali da će moći nakon preloma dugih kostiju prvi dan da se vertikalizuje i da hoda, ne bi vam verovali. U to vreme su takvi pacijenti ostajali invalidni i ljudi su ih nazivali bogaljima. Razvojem medicine, hiruških tehnika i implantata u samoj ortopediji danas ovi prelomi, bar u većim centrima, spadaju u rutinske operacije. Slično važi i za artroskopiju skočnog zgloba koju mi na klinici takođe radimo. 31. godine smatrano da zbog svoje anatomije skočni zglob uopšte nije pristupačan za artroskopiranje, a 8 godina kasnije je urađen prvi artroskopski pregled skočnog zgloba, a praktično u praksu uveden 72. godine od strane jednog japanskog ortopeda koji se naziva Vatan. Praktično se artroskopijom skočnog zgloba najviše leči prednji impingement, odnosno prednje uklještenje skočnog zgloba, odnosno nekotkivne ili koštana tkiva koje izazivaju bol i smetaju pacijentima u obavljanju svakodnevnih, a pretežno sportskih aktivnosti. Imate pojam footballer's ankle, odnosno usled šutiranja lopte punom nogom, odnosno položaja stopala u plantarnoj fleksiji, upravo se na vratu talusa, kao što vidimo ovde strelicom, javljaju sitne kokošice kao posledica traume koje zarastaju na tom mestu i koje pacijentima prave ozbiljne probleme. Dakle, svi ovi pacijenti imaju bol sa prednje strane skočnog zgloba. Bol se javlja u aktivnosti i anteromedijalno i lateralno ili izolovano se javlja bol na palpaciju. Skočni zglob otiče, a svi pacijenti imaju umanjenje dorzifleksije, odnosno savijanja zgloba. Dakle, procedura je isto minimalno invazivna. Ovi X-evi označavaju portale kuda se uvodi artroskop u skočni zglob, ali je procedura zahtevna i podrazumeva dugu krivu učenja i ne radi se baš na svakom ortopedskom odeljenju pa i na svakoj klinici. Dakle, kao što vidite ovde imate jedan prikaz artroskopa, odnosno jedan trenutak artroskopije skočnog zgloba. Tipični pacijenti sa prednjim idžbenitom skočnog zgloba su dakle mladi sportisti koji imaju istoriju hroničnog uvrtanja, odnosno distorzija skočnog zgloba. Oni imaju bol, oticanje i limitaciju pokreta, pretežno izazvanih ili koštanim ili mekotkivnim strukturama skočnog zgloba. Dakle, artroskopijom skočnog zgloba se može puno toga videti. Kao što vidite, ovo su 8 osnovnih tačaka za artroskopiju skočnog zgloba koje treba da prekontrolišemo prilikom svakog artroskopskog pregleda skočnog zgloba, gde možemo iz ova 2 osnovna i 2 pomoćna portala praktično da dosegnemo skoro svu patologiju koja se događa na tibijalnom pilonu i na samoj skočnoj kosti, uključujući osteokondralne lezije. I na kraju bi nešto rekao o rupturi ahilove tetive. Manje više svi to znate, to je najveća tetiva u organizmu. Praktično rupturom ahilove tetive sportske karijere se pretežno završavaju. Retko ko se oporavi. Treba znati da nikada ne puca zdrava ahilova tetiva, uvek puca izmenjena ahilova tetiva. Obično do njene rupture dolazi na najmanje, odnosno najlošije vaskularizovanom delu, a to je 4 do 6 cm od pripoja za petu, i svi pacijenti imaju isti anamnestički podatak da su iz čista mira čuli kao udarac biča po njihovoj peti, a kada su se okrenuli videli su da iza njih praktično nema nikog. Na ovoj slici vidite kako to izgleda. Ovo je debridirana ahilova tetiva spremna za šivenje. Ovo ovde je tetiva Pantarisa koji često može da nam služi kao graft ukoliko ne možemo da ušijemo ahilovu tetivu, što se često dešava kod starih ruptura. Sportisti se obavezno leče operativno i to odmah, dok se stariji ljudi i nesportisti, oni ljudi koji neće, leče neoperativno i to u intervalima 4+4+4, dakle nadkolena longeta se nosi s položajem stopala u ekvinusu se nosi 4 nedelje, pa potkolena još 4 i onda 4 nedelje povišica pod petu da bi se stopalo održavalo u ekvinusu. Nakon toga se sprovodi fizikalni tretman. Svega ima što bi mogli ovde da pričamo i predstavimo. Hoću samo da vam kažem da naša klinika radi 24 sata svaki dan u nedelji. Pacijente primamo i danju i noću i trudimo se da ih adekvatno zbrinjavamo. Svim sportistima i ljudima koji su vezani za sport poželim da i dalje nastave da se bave sportom. Ukoliko im se nešto desi, mi smo tu da im pružimo prvu pomoć. Hvala vam na pažnji, hvala na pozivu i veliki pozdrav iz Novog Sada. Doviđenja.